All right, welcome to Roots of Reality Experiences. Today I'm joined by actor Patrick Gallagher, best known for his work in the films The Night at the Museum, Master and Commander, and TV shows Glee, Big Sky, and Joe Pickett. So, Patrick, thanks for coming on again.
No problem, Ben. How you doing?
Doing pretty well. How about you?
Not bad. Recovered from the rainstorm. So,
That's good. Not too wet. Yeah. So, television has changed a lot, it seems like, over time. What was television like when you first started your career, though?
uh, well, I think Fox was groundbreaking and brand new. When I first started, I think we just had network television at HBO. Um, so it's very different. I mean, it's changed in the last 3 years. So yeah, it was. I think there were still black and white and dial TVs when I started acting.
Yeah. All right. So
So
it's been a while, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, maybe not black and white TVs, but they were the big TVs. I remember that they were a pain
Yeah.
in the ass to bring home. So,
Sure.
but it was different. I mean, it was just basically network television with a few. And network television was king at the time. So,
Yeah. So what would you say have been like the major changes over time then that have affected the industry?
well, obviously streaming. I mean, first of all, the cable television like HBO, Showtime, all of that first wave. Then kind of the secondary networks of TNT and Super Channel and all that other kind of stuff that was sort of like on cable, but sort of a hybrid and high look at it, a hybrid between cable television and network. But the streaming has changed everything.
Yeah.
You know, the ability to watch what you want when you want, the amount of content. It's changed. Binge television has become a thing. The number of episodes.
Yep.
Um, I think there's a lot of story through lines now. So
Yeah.
as opposed to one-off episodes. I mean, when I was a kid, it was one show would have one episode, beginning, middle, and end. You
Right.
know, somebody steals something, TJ Hooker tries to find them, TJ Hooker finds them. And then next episode, next time. So, I mean, the quality in terms of the writing has become better in terms of cinematography. There's really not a lot of distinction in that now between film and television. Used to
Yeah.
be film was a place for all the quality, quote unquote, and that also changed a few years ago, where most of the really great writing and great content was on television.
Yeah. It seems like TV shows have become like major pop culture um industries now where I feel like TV shows are referenced more often and sort of inside joke conversations than movies, it seems like.
Yeah, and because of there weren't the constraints of network regulation, you could tell different stories.
Yeah.
You could get a little bit edgier. The limited series thing is fairly new, where you just have 6, 8, 10 episodes a year and just tell this one story. The amount of content has been great in a lot of ways. It's brought a lot of people into television that didn't have opportunities before. It's brought more minorities and more women, and different stories are being told. And,
Yeah.
there's something for everybody now, which is what's really great. You can do epic things like Foundation or The Lord of the Rings, and you now have the technology and the creativity and the budgets and the ability to do incredible stories like that. And so that's been a really great thing. And obviously, COVID changed a lot of stuff. I mean, COVID
Yeah.
really brought television into focus. I remember on my on my 2 week lockdown, that's when I watched Game of Thrones, because I read those books 20 years ago and didn't want to have my imagination wrecked by it. But
Okay.
because the books are incredible, and so
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I love these. I read all those books twice,
Oh,
so I
wow.
was just
Okay.
like, I don't want to have that incredible world in my mind, influenced by television. But in the
Yeah.
lockdown, yeah, I will
Yeah.
give you advice: don't watch all of Breaking Bad in 5 days, because it's an incredible show, but that show has such a dark feel to it. You're kind of like, oh, that's
So
a lot of Breaking
that's
Bad.
funny because like I was living in Amsterdam at the time when I first started watching that show, and I was able to spread it out more than a 5-day span, but I definitely felt like there were some days I might have just watched episode after episode for the entire day, and I was like, I'm starting to lose it a little bit in my mind.
Yeah, because I mean, it's an incredible show, but it's just so dark and so
Yes.
devoid of morality in so many ways. And
Yeah.
sometimes you're just like, so I would counter that with Ted Lasso to just give me
Okay.
almost
Balance it out. Yeah.
like a soul, yeah, what do they call it? A soul cleanser. So, but
Yeah. It's a.
both incredible shows.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Definitely. It's a lot of fun. I mean, it's interesting. Do you think? I mean, cable, I guess, seems like a dated thing. I'm not sure how much longer cable is still going to be around.
Yeah, I agree, and I just wonder whether those labels really mean anything anymore,
Yeah.
television and film. I mean, it's all simply entertainment.
Right.
Um, you've got Prey, which is an incredible movie on Hulu that's up for an Emmy, but then you've got also movies made on Netflix that get up for Oscars, and they're basically the same thing. So to me, all of these distinctions don't matter anymore. The budgets are not different like they used to be. Like I said, the storytelling and the subject matter and the resources are no different. So yeah, I don't. It's sort of like Kleenex or Xerox. We call everything by one name, but it's not really television anymore, is it? It's
Yeah.
I mean, or that meaning has changed because you're right. It is streaming, and it's um, cable is there's really no distinction anymore because it's not part because nobody has cable, so it's not part of a package and an extra. It's all just part of what's ever comes on your television. What do you want to spend money for? What do you want to
Yeah.
buy? And what do you want a subscription for? So
Yeah.
it does kind of bug me because the only thing I liked about cable is I could fast forward commercials when I recorded
Okay.
it.
Sure.
Now you're kind of forced to watch, but it is really great to be able to just watch what you want when you want, to be able to discover new things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just I think you're exactly right. I think that those labels sort of have no meaning
It's kind of weird even like because I don't have cable. I just do streaming only. And so it's weird like if I go to like my dad's house or something and I see cable TV, it's strange to me to like watch a show partway through, like not from the beginning or something. If you're watching an episode of some different show, it's just strange now because things have changed so much. I've gotten so accustomed to just episode after episode, like a Netflix situation or something. So
anymore. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You're a lot younger than me, but there's no such thing really as destination television anymore. I
yeah,
remember we used to have to wait. We
yeah,
had to wait a week for the next episode, and then you talk about it. And
yeah,
and yeah, I just binge now too. I will also find myself tending to, if there's a series that I want to watch or a new show I want to watch, I'll wait for a few because I can't watch just one.
yeah,
If it's streaming, I'm like, I need to give myself at least 3 weeks,
yeah,
so I can watch one after another, after another, after another. And then, I don't know whether I get annoyed or like the fact that if it's 7 episodes, they only have six, then I'll watch it. And I have 1 week I have to wait, which is kind of exciting. It's sort of like my little nostalgia time to have to wait for an episode to come out. So
yeah. It's hard to subscribe to a platform that spreads out the episodes now that I'm so used to all of them being thrown out there at once. I mean, I guess the only major difference is like for sports where you're obviously going to be waiting. Um, and waiting for that next game or something like that. It was interesting to see like Major League Soccer, being part of Apple TV now and stuff. Um,
yeah, baseball too,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
So it's things just change. It's a new
Yeah, I
world.
mean, yeah, all the devices have channels now. I mean, I just got a new Samsung, and basically it has its own Samsung Plus TV, which I think is all just Pluto.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't I don't really know, but like there's live television stations on Google Chrome. There's live TV on your televisions, and some of that stuff I find really fascinating because it's these shows that I wouldn't normally watch, but there's
Yes.
so much content out there that I get a little bit bored sometimes and end up watching the Game Show Network or
Yeah.
4 hours of Dateline.
Yeah.
But all this really fascinating like shows about cottages and stuff that's just on these channels I don't even know existed. So sometimes I'm like, okay, I'll just watch it.
There you go.
But yeah, it is. I mean, I kind of miss it, and I kind of like not waiting at the same time. I mean, I grew up with that, so there's a part of me that remembers that destination television.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the whole industry is changed, and I think that
Yep.
maybe after hopefully we settle these labor issues soon, that maybe it's time for the industry to get together and just figure out what it is we're doing, because it is all
Yeah.
just content. I mean, do we even need the Oscars and the Emmys? Like that's is it really what distinguishes television from the movies? I know there's a lot of money involved and we like our award shows, but
Yeah.
what's really what I don't really. It's just hard to tell. It's just a whole different ball game now. And then video games are all cinematic now.
Yep.
Um, I think YouTube is probably has TV shows and live movies and stuff. It's crazy. It's all just it's exciting.
Yeah.
It's kind of overwhelming sometimes too,
Yeah. I
because
mean,
there's
it's
just so much stuff.
very easy to miss stuff. And, it's funny you mentioned video games. How now, like, people are making movies and TV shows off of video games now. Like, who would have thought that would ever happen?
Yeah,
It's wild. So,
yeah, it is. They're doing a Ghost of Tsushima movie, and that
yeah. Okay.
that
Yeah.
thing was that thing was so beautifully done that it looked like a movie. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty incredible. How all these different fields are kind of overlapping now in the entertainment realm. But,
Yeah, I don't know if you remember the song. There used to be, I think there was a song called 500 Channels and Nothing on TV or Nothing to Watch. And I feel like that sometimes there's so much stuff. Like everyone, that story you said about going to your dad's, when I go back and my mother has cable, I find it kind of refreshing that I don't have to make any decisions.
yeah.
That I don't have to look for anything. I'm just kind of like, what's on? Okay, I'll watch that because there's nothing else. And sometimes it's kind of refreshing.
Yeah, not
So,
having choice, but just being able to enjoy. Because sometimes you can get like overly picky, where you're not enjoying anything because you have so many choices. So that can be an issue.
yeah, yeah.
So kind of nice sometimes just to flip on cable like the old days and see a rerun of some show that you used to watch.
Yeah, and it's and ironic too. There's some shows that I just can't find, like WKRP, and I think that's because of the royalties for the music.
Ah, okay.
But sometimes you're like, it's got to be somewhere. I mean, something is everywhere now, but I have a hard time finding that show, which is
Yeah,
one of the most underrated shows in television history,
yeah.
by the way, in my opinion.
Do you still have DVDs of like shows or movies?
I have them somewhere. I have a DVD player. I have a Blu-ray player that I think I bought for $40 like 5 years ago. That's how cheap they got. I don't ever.
Yeah.
I haven't. I don't think I've watched a DVD for years, because it seems like this is so silly. It seems like such a hassle to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not that long ago, that was cutting edge.
Yes,
You
that was the
know.
thing to do. That was it. Like, oh, I have all these my DVD collection or something. Um,
Yeah.
and I think at like bookstores they still sell DVDs, and you could still get them at like superstores and stuff as well. But
Yeah. Every once in a while, I'll see one. Like I saw a director's cut of The Warriors at a Target or something for $2, which is really, I don't know if you've seen that movie, The Warriors.
I think I
Warriors
have a
come up.
long time ago.
There's a director's cut where every time they change a scene, they slash to a freeze frame of a comic book,
Okay.
because and it was and so I saw that version once, so I bought it. But yeah, I even have a VCR for VHS
I still have
tapes.
a VCR. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
like. I mean, it still works, and it's like super old, but I still have some old VHS tapes from like I was really young,
As
and
do I. I have Live Aid. I lost London, unfortunately, but I have the Philadelphia concert of Live Aid.
okay.
But I'm also curious. I don't even know what's on half of this stuff. So after this, I may just sort of put in some VHS tapes and see what the hell did I record 15 years ago.
Oh yeah, I remember. That's right. That's right. The old days when you were recording with the VHS tape. That's right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
remember they had that. It got really fancy where you could just punch in a number and didn't have to actually set a time. So the TV guide used to have a like
Oh
94364, and you could
yeah.
punch that in and it would do it automatically.
That's right.
Crazy.
Yeah. Simpler times, I guess, with that. Yeah. You just
Yeah.
choose what you wanted by scheduling your recording sessions, basically, of whatever
Yeah.
movies or TV shows.
But I do think the choice is great. It's helped
Yeah.
fuel innovation. It's
Oh
fueled
yeah.
content. It's brought a lot of so many people have the ability to create content and make shows, and so we've been able to discover a lot of talent and a lot
Yep.
of quality and a lot of great things. So
Definitely. Well, yeah, things can't stay the same forever. There has to be some change. You want some innovation, development. Um, that's kind of what defines the different decades of time. So,
yeah, it's funny though. As I get older, I kind of wanted to slow down.
yeah,
It's going to
yeah,
happen to everybody. You're kind of like, wow, what the heck is? I find myself like not bothering with certain
yeah,
technologies now, just because it's a
yeah.
pain in the ass.
I feel like that. You know that's if you know the song by Bowling for Soup, 1985. You know, it's
No, probably not.
basically a song about nostalgia and like wanting things to slow down because everything's changing. I feel like songs like that become more relatable over time as you get older because, yeah,
Absolutely. I used to think, when I would watch people talk about, oh, my neighborhood's changed, think, what an old codger, or, they don't like progress, or they must be racist or something, until I
yeah,
realized that, I went back to my old neighborhood in Toronto, and I just remember saying to myself, wow, this has really changed. And I realize it's not necessarily a negative thing. It's simply an observation that
yeah,
it was not like it was when we were young,
yeah,
and you just kind of go, what? And you kind of long for it a little bit because you're longing for your youth, I think,
yeah.
is what it
Oh,
is.
definitely. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, if something changes, it's kind of like that thing's gone forever in a way.
Yeah,
So that is kind of
yeah.
hard to fathom. Yeah, especially if you go back to your old neighborhood where you lived. I mean, I've even seen that. It hasn't changed a lot, but I notice every little change that does occur. It's like, well, that's
Yeah,
not what I remember it being.
yeah.
So
And then ironically, even though you were young, when you get old, you forget that young people don't give a damn what you have to say,
yeah,
but you still
that's
tell them anyway.
that's right.
It's just
Used to
it's
be
this
this
endless
way.
cycle.
So
And I remember someone telling me that, going, "Bugger off, you old codger." And now I'm like, I can't believe I'm saying that. And they don't give a damn what I think either, because it's now
yeah,
their world.
that's
All
right.
I simply have a little bit of um, consolation in knowing the same thing will happen to them in 30 years.
That's true.
You
It's
know?
a phase for everyone, and you just kind of have to
Yeah.
find new things to live in the moment of your life at the time, I guess.
It is a little bit different though, because things have changed. I think progress has sped up in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I mean, a phone from 5 years ago is basically obsolete now.
Yep.
You know, and it's not just entertainment; it's science, it's technology, it's media, it's the whole world is just really, really changing really, really quickly.
Yeah.
And I just find that a little bit fascinating. I wonder what it'd be like to be a teenager now or a young person now in this world.
Yeah. I mean, I have some nephew nieces, and yeah, it just seems like with the internet taking off much more so even than when I was a teenager, and social media being, you know, just so integrated into everyone's life. It's crazy. It's so different. You're living on the internet more than like you are living in just real life. It's just
Yeah, and it seems like it's almost not really social media. It is exactly what you said. It's just part of everyday life
yes.
now.
Yeah.
What used to be novel is now just integrated.
That's
You
right.
know,
Yeah, it's become the normal thing. It becomes your life.
yeah,
It's very strange in that regard, but it seems like with technology continuing to develop, that's just going to become more and more normal over time.
yeah. And I find it fascinating. In 100 years, we'll probably be spacefaring people.
Yeah,
So I mean
wouldn't it
that
be
that that
surprising?
yeah. I mean we'll be up mining asteroids, and I mean where will we be in 200 years? That kind of
Yeah,
stuff is
yeah.
fascinates me.
I mean, just the end of people say all the time, and like in different fields, about how like the last 50 years has been more innovation than all of human history combined.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy. So,
And we have to worry about whether it gets out ahead of us.
yep,
AI is a big
yes,
example of that. I mean, we do not want, what was it in Terminator Skynet?
yeah,
We don't want it to become aware and go, oh, now
yeah.
it's done. You
Become the
know,
replacement for ourselves. Yeah,
Yeah, and so I think we have a lot of, I mean, that's part of what the SAG and writer strike is about now is
Yeah,
the use of AI, and you know, and it's like so many things. It's not necessarily good or bad. It's both. It simply needs to be looked at, and we need to make sure that
sure.
this technology, which is inevitable, we just think about what it is we're going to do with it. What its capabilities are. So,
Right.
in a general sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, that's a really interesting thing to think about now. You know, with what's going on with the strike, the actors' strike, and the role of artificial intelligence. Can you sort of summarize what the concerns are right now and what's playing out as we speak?
Well, I mean, my understanding of it is, that they have the ability now to use our images and our voices without necessarily using us to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, they wanted to pay them once for an image of who they are, and then simply just through computers, I guess, put them in the background of scenes, and you get paid once for that. And
Wow.
yeah, it's a nifty technology, and
Yeah.
I get it. I understand why they would want to use it, but we also need to then get paid for our abilities and for our likenesses and get proper compensation. So, I mean,
Sure.
that to me, that is kind of the crux of it. I mean, I don't know much about it, but I have heard people talk that, they're thinking that if it advances as quickly as they think it can, that in 20 or 30 years, they could take a body of work of an actor that's long gone, download it all, and not just put up something like the Peter Cushing character in Star Wars, but literally have a computer be able to figure out, take all of that actor's work, put it in a program, and then literally have a nuanced performance and bring out a performance as if that actor is alive, where you can't even tell,
That's
you
insane.
know. And so I don't know how possible it is, but I've listened to podcasts and heard people say that is possibly a possibility. So you literally put it in a program and just find a nuanced performance. So is that really an actor's performance? Is that really that person? What are you watching?
Yeah.
How is that person's estate going to be compensated? And
Yeah.
as a consumer, I'm fascinated by it because the possibilities of what they could then
Right.
do are
Sure.
incredible. But as a citizen, whatever its implications is going to be, not just for entertainment. I mean, are we going to then have videos that you can't tell, videos of a politician shooting somebody that you can't tell or whether they're real or
Yep.
not?
Yeah.
And it's not just the images, it's the voice as well. And what will truth be? I mean, if I'm quite honest, I do worry that a lot of those dystopian future science fiction movies we used to watch are going to become a reality. We're not
Hmm.
going to know what truth is. We're not going to really know what control of our lives is, let alone who has it.
Yeah.
And I do worry that we're heading in that direction. But you
Yeah. I
know,
mean, I think that it would seem very likely that the ability to depict such things will only become easier and easier over time, and it will get to the point where you can't really tell without knowing like what the source is of the information. And so becoming like figuring out like what websites, for example, would be a trustworthy or not is going to be critical in terms of understanding, okay, what is actually reality or not.
yeah, I mean, and you couple that with not just the ability of AI and what's truthful, but who's putting who is determining the content, not just
Yes,
who's
the
making
author
the
of the
content.
source. Yep.
Yeah, and it's just going to get really complicated. The flip side is, my understanding is that it's going to have incredible. It could have incredible benefits for humanity. It could have benefits in medicine and
Yeah.
transportation and distribution and all kinds of stuff. I just think that as a society, we need to just take a look at it early so we get some kind of a sense of what it is and can at least keep it down a path that is more beneficial than not.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily think people are evil. I think it's just the nature of the beast. We're going to use it to all its capabilities. you know
Yeah, I mean, people tend to want to use technology as much as they can and try to see what they can create with it. So that's normal, but being
yeah, and
careful
then
with it.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and then once you couple that with with the desire for profit and money, then that's when you get into trouble. I
Yep.
don't think the desire for corporations is necessarily evil, or the desire for money is bad. It's brought a lot of innovation, but simply by its very nature, it has no
Yeah.
soul, or
Corrupting
no. It
influence of it. Yeah.
yeah, the very system of it. It's not even. Yeah, it just has. It's not corporatism, and the multinational corporations by their very nature are not. Their function is not to think about the effects of society. Their function is to do what their function is, which is to make money and innovation.
Right.
So we then need to take that responsibility on and go, okay, hold on a second.
Yeah.
We're not saying you're evil. We're just saying
Yeah.
we need to figure out what this is. It's like
So
playing football without a referee, you
yes, yeah,
know?
exactly. There has to be some type of rules that people have to follow to prevent major issues. So
Yeah. And then you need someone to actually enforce those rules.
yep.
You could then people, you could have football played when everyone knows what the rules are, but if there was no one there to enforce it, their
Right.
job is to win. So they're going to break them.
Yep. That's pretty much it. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess the concern in your industry then would be like, at what point do actors no longer even have jobs because everything's just done via AI?
And
Um,
the writers too. I mean,
and the writers, yes, yeah. I mean,
you watch some of this weird YouTube stuff, and some of that voiceover stuff is so hard. It's You can still tell it's computer generated or
yep,
artificial intelligence voiceovers, but it's getting pretty hard. And a lot of that, my
yeah,
understanding is, a lot of YouTube stuff is all AI, written by AI, voiced by AI, and
yeah,
just done. Yeah, I, that is, I think, the big concern. I mean, that not having jobs is down the road right now, but it is. I don't think it's an overblown concern. You
yeah.
know, right
Well,
now it's about compensation for what they can do with the technology, what that means. I think we just also want to be part of the conversation on it.
sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess a lot. I mean, that's one thing I feel like a lot of people are not aware of is that they just assume that everyone in Hollywood is like, some superstar actor that's making tons and tons of money. But but a lot of these people are just, living in really expensive California and are not making all that much. So
Most of the industry is, and
yeah,
you can have good years. I had a couple of pretty good years
yeah,
this year. I need to make my healthcare money, and that's
yeah,
I need to start worrying about that kind of stuff.
yeah,
And I think it is important for you to realize that. And I get it. If you're working a quote unquote real job, you might look at all these millionaires who are complaining, but that's a very small percentage. There
sure.
are, for lack of a better term, most actors are rank and file.
Yeah,
I know a lot of actors that can't make enough money. Yeah, you get $2,000 a day. That sounds like a lot, but if you do that 3 times, that's not a lot of money, and it's not easy
yes,
to get work. And plus there's people who work every day. There's crews. There's writers. I mean, it's a job, you know, and it's people's livelihoods, and I think that's what we're striking for. You know,
yeah. Have you ever been a part of a strike in the past, or is this like the first time ever being a part of one?
uh, let me think. I mean, there was the writer strike in 2007.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of the jobs I had. I did try to unionize my video store back when I was 25. I got fired.
Oh no. Okay.
So yeah, I don't really think I have. I mean, I've been involved in a tertiary sense. I know people that have been on strike. I know people that have been in industries
Sure.
where you need to do it. I've obviously been affected by them. When other industries have gone on strike, and I think they're an important part of society. I think they're
Oh
very
yeah.
valuable. I think that they're leverage for workers. It's
Yep.
again
Well,
part of that refereeing process.
I mean, we wouldn't make much progress historically if people were never striking in the past. So
Yeah, yeah, and I think I know that we took it pretty seriously, whether we wanted to do it, because we know it's a huge disruption on people's lives, not just our lives, but
yeah.
it affects other people who work in the industry. It affects people's entertainment, which is important. It's important for their well-being, but it's something that had to be done. So, and we'll just, we're in there for the long haul. So buckle up, AMTPT.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting. I guess there's no timetable in terms of how long it'll take, and so I guess it'll be something that will just be hanging around until something gets solved.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like any strike. Everyone's, both sides are trying to wait the other side out, I guess. I mean, I've been on the picket lines a lot, and I talk to friends, and for my own personal thing, and we're not thinking about caving anytime soon.
No, there's no
I mean,
point.
it's
Yeah.
important stuff.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll be resolved fairly quickly, but who knows? I mean, I have no idea.
Yeah.
You know, but the longer it goes on, it has trickle down effects for the entire economy of California, Los Angeles, and California. Like I said, it's people's personal lives, like people's livelihoods are, that aren't part of the union, that are part of the, you know, other aspects of the industry. It's those people's lives are being affected, and so hopefully we can get this done soon and
Yeah.
get back to work.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's domino effects from it as well. I mean, given all the other industries that are going to be impacted by similar things with, giant corporations and the rise of artificial intelligence. It was interesting. It was just to see articles recently about like jobs most likely to be impacted by AI, and a lot of
What were they?
one of the major spheres was like the computer science sphere, which is the ones that created AI in the first place, which is pretty
Yeah,
ironic. Yeah. So
yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah. And then I mean, sometimes it fascinates me. You couple that with robotics, and
yeah.
what are we going to be doing in 100 years?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's going to do. I mean, I guess a lot of those cars are AI. I guess I don't really know. I don't really know that much,
Yeah.
about the nitty gritty of it, but
Yeah. I mean, I imagine, yeah, different things will take off faster than we're expecting, and other things will be slower. Um, just kind
yeah,
of
and
depends.
I do have some acquaintances that are, in the industry, and I guess you call them like the real computer nerds who think that that term is also a misnomer, that it's not
Yeah.
really artificial intelligence necessarily,
Well,
it's a learning
yeah,
computer. But
sure.
then the question is it possible for it to get consciousness, to
Yeah.
make decisions? That's
Yep.
that's when the Terminator comes.
Yeah.
So,
That's right. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
and people say it's impossible, but look at what they would have said was that we have that they would have said is impossible 30 years ago. So who the hell
Yes.
knows?
Yeah. I mean, we haven't been thinking about, I mean, historically, we haven't been thinking about the idea of conscious robots for very long, and we've already made quite a bit of progress in that direction. So, I wouldn't
Yeah.
be shocked if it pops up at some point in the not so far future.
And first of all, we even need to figure out what the definition of conscious is.
Yeah,
You know,
that's true.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. And probably well after my time, so good luck with that.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah,
Should be a joy. Yeah.
yeah, it should be interesting if nothing else.
Yeah.
Although
Something
they make it,
excited. Yeah.
yeah, they'll have robot television you can be talking about.
That's right. Yeah. Try
So,
to figure out who's more truthful. That's it. The robots or people. That's it.
or will we have this little thing where we can just lie on our couch and we can just, this isn't really us. We can just have little holograms of us doing this, but we could do this from a car somewhere and just have
That's
our
right. Yeah.
minds do it.
Yeah. That's
Who
right.
knows?
Who knows? Yeah. Maybe,
Could
maybe
create
I,
an image.
maybe in the future, people will just, take the form of a robot and they'll be consciously transplanted or something. That's right.
Yeah, there's a TV show. We should write that one.
That's right. We should work on
You
that
know,
one together.
where
That's
it's
right.
just where it's just an implant, and no matter
Yeah.
where you are, you can actually have this happen. You can just put a little computer, go zoom, put it on the screen, boom, boom, boom.
That's right. There you go. That's the future, perhaps. So we'll have to
Yeah,
be
you could
prepared.
just you could also just download it. So you could just download topics, and the AI will know what our thoughts are. So I could literally not even have to be here. I could just download it, and the AI
That's
could
right.
like respond to your questions, but it knows what I think.
That's right. That's probably what's going to happen. Future episodes. That's gonna go on. So
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see.
so what do you like? What do you do then in the process of a strike? Like, I don't know what that would be like to be in a situation like yours. Like, what is your day to day life like now that you're in this?
Well, I mean, I think I can't speak for everybody, but it's a little bit different for us because you know my life isn't that much different anyway because my jobs were done last year,
Okay.
and so in a lot of ways, it doesn't feel any different because you're just waiting for a job. We're not
Yeah.
auditioning for anything. So I think the people that were actually in work at the time, it'll be different. But honestly, in the actual nitty gritty day to day, it's not that different for someone like me. And I think for a lot of actors, a lot of actors, I used to have a regular job. So I guess a lot of actors are going to their regular jobs and then, going to the picket lines when we can and promoting the strike as much as we can. But yeah, in terms of the actual practicalities, it's not that much different than the life we had in between jobs. Um, so,
Sure.
you just worry about, um, when you're going to have an opportunity to get another one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like I said, I think the people it affects the most are the crews and the transport and people that came to work every single day that don't have that opportunity to do that
Yeah.
that had steady gigs. You know, but I think for for a big portion of the actors writers, the actual day to day is not that much different. I would think.
Right.
And I don't mean to think that but that and that's not to say it doesn't affect us at all because it's something we're thinking about. We're working towards a goal. You know, I've been to go to the picket lines and do your part. And just keep the awareness up, and keep the enthusiasm up, and keep the momentum going. So
Hmm. Was this strike something that you kind of knew that was on the horizon like a year before it happened, or was this something that was kind of took people by surprise? Or
I think we're always, I think it's like actors are always like talking about changing their agents, always talking about striking.
yeah, okay,
It's a joke, but no, this one you could sort of you know over parts of last year, yeah, you kind of heard rumblings about it. AI was different. We knew that the writers weren't getting treated fairly and were not happy. Once the writers went, I figured we were probably going to go.
yeah,
I was pleasantly surprised how strong the mandate was for it. Because there's a lot of actors. There's a lot of diverse personalities and a lot of people are involved in this, so you weren't sure whether everyone's going to be on the same page. But it was gratifying to see that we had such a strong mandate. I think 98%. So,
yeah. That's
but yeah,
huge.
we could see it coming. The residuals have gone away steadily over the years. There's a lot of things. You can see the rise of streaming, and you go, well, we don't. They won't even tell us our numbers. We're not getting residuals for that. Things have changed, and we kind of had this sense of, well, what's going on here? It hasn't changed that much for us in the better in terms of more money and more opportunity. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think it was inevitable. I mean,
yeah.
the streamers won't even tell us their numbers. So
That's crazy.
if you're not telling us, then obviously you don't want us to know. Obviously, because if we know, then you're going to realize that you're being cheap bastards. Pardon
Yeah,
my French.
yeah.
You know, and I don't think we're asking. I think asking for a fair share is not unreasonable.
Right.
I mean, ideally, this industry works the best when everyone feels like we're all pulling in the same direction.
Yeah,
You know, People are more creative that way. People are happier. When it's support from bottom to the top and up and down, everyone's doing the same thing to create entertainment and content. That's the ideal situation. So but sometimes these things have to happen. You know.
yeah. Pretty much. I mean, that's kind of the way of the world. At some point, people have to stand up for themselves and decide like, hey,
Yeah,
we gotta change this to make it fair. So
yeah, and I don't write, but and I'm not necessarily a creator. I'm an actor, but the people that create these incredible shows that we watch and these that give people joy, and actually some shows that even push conversations about social issues, they should get compensated when a major corporation makes hundreds of millions of dollars off of that. People that are part of that, everyone who's part of that should be compensated for that. And that's
yep.
especially the writers and the people that are there from the ground up creating these incredible things.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the crux of it. It's just proper compensation for what we do. The problem is it's all part of major corporations that it's not really movie or entertainment companies. It's simply divisions of other huge corporations. So I think a lot of people running it don't love the industry, don't really care about the industry, don't really understand the industry anymore. They're simply doing their jobs, which is to be corporate,
Yeah.
and that's part of the problem. So,
Yeah. Makes sense. So what would you say then is the best way for people who are, not actors or writers, but are people that just kind of your average person, not in the industry, but want to see these things get resolved because hey, they want to there to be future movies and shows and stuff for them to watch. Like, what's the best way for them to sort of play a role in this to help get things resolved?
I mean, I don't know, maybe temporarily, you know, don't pay a couple months of your streaming service
Yeah,
because there's nothing new
stick
for you
it
to
to them. Yeah,
watch.
yeah,
Be on social media, just voice your support. You can always come down and picket with us. Lots of people are on the picket lines that aren't necessarily actors or part of the union. You can let the companies know that you support the actors or the writers, and you want your shows back.
yeah,
There's all kinds of stuff you can do, but you know maybe just don't watch some stuff for a while because you're gonna
yeah,
run out.
yeah.
You
That's
know.
true. Yeah, if there's nothing being produced, at some point there's not gonna be much left. So
Yeah, and I think it's gonna come down to, like everything comes down to money. I think when their stock prices really go down,
yeah,
when these CEOs, you know, their bonuses are tied to stock price. Maybe
yeah.
they're not going
You're
to get
like,
their
wait a minute. Yeah.
20. They're 10 million over. They're already 15 million. Maybe they'll start talking. Who knows? I don't
Yeah.
know. Don't
Yeah.
even get me started on this. I don't want to say something. People have
Well,
to hire me eventually, hopefully.
yeah. Well, I'm sure you're thinking what most people think about, when it comes to sort of just kind of ridiculous greed that can occur at some of these major corporations and lots of different spheres, obviously. So,
Yeah, I mean that Wells Fargo. I think I had this right. Remember, Wells Fargo had got. I think they did something illegal,
yeah.
and the CEO got fired for it, but got $100 million
Yeah.
for. I mean, that's just excuse my French. That's just fucking insane.
Yeah.
You know, Nobody's worth that much fucking money.
Right.
Maybe athletes that can do things, or doctors that can do things, or that can literally do things that nobody else can do. But yeah, I mean, you're rewarding a guy $100 million for doing something illegal, costing the company millions, and it's just insane.
Yeah. Doesn't make
You
much
know,
sense.
yeah. I mean, what is the number? I think 30 years ago, the CEOs or salary was 10 times more than a regular. Now it's 300 or something ridiculous like that. It's just silly.
Yeah.
And it's all part of this economic engine that we've created that obviously I'll admit I'm part of. It took me a long time to buy stocks,
Hmm.
because I didn't want to be part of making those decisions. If you
Right.
have a stock, you're kind of going to go, ooh, not maybe great for society, but ooh, I made a lot of money, and I didn't want to have to put myself in that position. And
Yeah.
eventually
Yeah.
you just kind of deal with the reality of it. But that's the hard thing about stocks is you're kind of like, ooh, that's not good. Oh, my stock price went up. Okay, and we turn the other cheek. So
Yeah. Yeah. The balance that people have to strike. I mean, and in many ways, we're all tied, whether you own stocks or not, everyone's tied to the economy. So
yeah,
it's like,
but I don't know. I don't
yeah,
know why these guys have to make $30 million
right.
a year.
There has to be
I
some type
mean,
of reasonable thing there. So,
yeah, and then try to tell a truck driver or a crew member, we can't give you another $150 a day, or we can't. That's the kind of stuff that pisses us off.
yeah.
Half of the CEO's salaries could dramatically improve the lives of people that do the work to give them their freaking salary. So
Yeah.
and then you make comments like, we're being unreasonable, like Bob Iger did or other CEOs, and that's what pisses us off.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's a tough situation. Hopefully things get resolved soon and people can all be on the same page again. And
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we get to civil. I think, it might be a while. It might take a while to be
yeah.
friendly. Yeah. to
Yeah.
some to
Well,
some to
sometimes I
some
guess it
portions
just
of it. But
has to happen that way for people yeah.
yeah, but it's that kind of stuff that I think fuels the anger, which is why
Yep.
I don't think we're going anywhere soon. It's like
Yeah.
don't tell. And I've done all right. I'm a in the upper echelon, but I also realize how fortunate I am. But I know what it's like to not be, to be really going paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. And you try to tell those people it's unreasonable to get them a little bit of extra money that could pay their rent because Bob Iger needs to make $35 million instead of 20,
Yeah.
or any of the CEOs or the corporations. When they say they're losing money, they're not losing profit; they're losing stock price.
Mm-hmm.
None of those companies are losing money. They're
Right.
losing profit, which I understand is important and it's how part of the economy. But don't be trying to tell us you don't have the money to pay these people their fair share.
Yeah.
You just don't want to. And that kind of stuff pisses me off.
I mean, I wonder how many people before the strike even happened just left the industry altogether because of the situations going on, decided to give up their careers in the field.
I don't know. I mean, that's always a really delicate one as to when you decide. Luckily, I'm still so fortunate I never had to make that decision, but that
Right.
decision of when to move on must be a really tough one, you know.
Yeah.
And you got to find the right time. But yeah, I imagine a lot of people did, you know. Hopefully, the strike won't cause too many other people to do that, because I'm a big believer in following the dream,
Sure.
because he just never know. It didn't really. I've gone up and down in my career, but I'm 55 now. The best years of my career were the last three. So
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
so
It's tough. Yeah. Hopefully things get resolved and people get what they deserve, and that would be
yeah, and they can
ideal.
stop,
So
and they can stop being greedy bastards.
that's right.
That's a good place to start.
That's right. It's
Stop being disingenuous,
yeah.
greedy bastards who don't want to give us any numbers.
Right.
Show us the numbers.
Yeah.
That's a nice place to start.
That would
How many
be
people are watching this stuff?
yeah. That would probably improve the situation quite a bit if people were honest about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it's going to go. I think that once I'm hoping it's not too long, but I have no idea. I just have my own personal opinion theory. I
Yeah.
think at some point we'll start talking again. I think once the talking starts for real, it'll go fairly quickly. But I hope it's done by January at least.
Sure.
I mean, not done. I mean, I hope we're back to work by January. Hopefully, it's
Right.
done
Right.
fairly soon. But it's hard to. I mean, it's already what, August? It's already September almost. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, 10 days from September. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that we're going to see more and more of this pop up in other industries beyond, acting and writing, because it's just the number of super gigantic corporations out there that have just taken over and eaten away other competition, ironically.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Despite the big promotion of sort of free market capitalism and society, a lot of these
the
corporations
lo-
are completely against it. So, um,
absolutely. It's a load of shit.
yeah,
It's it's
because
it's
like
it's marketing.
yeah, the idea is good until we're at the point where we want to eliminate all competition so we can monopolize everything and decrease the benefits for workers and stuff. So,
Yeah, look at media. I mean,
yep,
there's no media competition. Look at the cell phones. I think
yep,
even 10 years ago there were
yeah,
like five other companies. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and
It's
free enterprise and free market is. I mean, this is a bigger discussion, but I think it's all just a smokescreen and PR and bullshit.
yeah,
I mean, honestly, I was saying 20 years ago, and people thought I was crazy and that corporatism was the greatest threat to our freedom.
yeah,
People thought I was this radical, crazy idiot, but I see them now. I'm like,
yeah,
and like I said, I don't think corporations are necessarily evil, but by their very nature, they're not.
yep.
They're not there to benefit
Well, yeah,
society. They're there to benefit themselves, which is their damn job.
yep. If
You
there's no
know,
one there to call balls and strikes, and make sure that people are actually having fair competition and that small businesses aren't being crushed constantly, then
yeah,
you've got a major issue at hand, and that's what we're seeing, I think, built up today with lots of different industries. So
Yeah, and there's all this double speak. The ones that say fair competition are the ones that the biggest corporations don't want fair competition.
right, yeah, that's right.
Let's not even get into the double speak of, but
Yeah,
of our dystopian America.
yeah, it's a problem. Yeah,
It
so
really is. I mean, honestly, it's kind of demoralizing sometimes, because if I'm quite honest, I don't really have a lot of hope for
mhm.
America specifically, but the world in general.
Yeah. Well, troubled times, unfortunately, but I guess the good news is that it's always been troubled times. We just kind of figure it out as we go.
I guess, but I worry about a critical mass of technology with
Yeah,
population, with weaponry, and at some point,
sure.
troubled times also at some point becomes that's it. We
There's
just
always a
we
potential
make
for that.
one mistake. We make one
Yeah,
mistake too many, or a series of mistakes that then all of a
yeah,
sudden we went, oh shit, we didn't even realize this was happening. So who
yeah,
knows?
yeah,
I just want to be alive long enough for the aliens to come down and go, you guys are idiots.
yeah.
I
What?
actually just want to be alive long enough for us to discover life on another planet. That's
Yeah.
which I think is close. So,
Yeah. That's possible. That'd be pretty cool. We already know that there's a pretty good chance of them being out there somewhere. So,
well,
um,
even just bacteria. I think I'm
yeah.
putting my money on Enceladus, the moon of Saturn. So I'm putting my money.
There you go.
So
Something to hope
remember, you
for
heard it
then.
here first. Yeah, I think it's on. I think they think there's an ocean under with organic molecules. They put Cassini through.
Yeah.
And so it shoots water out and it's got organic molecules. So they think there might be like little Saturn fishies
I mean, there's been
swimming around this
talk,
moon
yeah,
of
about
Saturn.
that for years now of several places within our solar system that could have life potentially. So it's
Yeah. Yeah.
pretty cool.
So it'd be kind of cool. I just want to see us walk on the moon, walk on Mars, and discover life on another planet.
There you go.
And then win this strike first.
That's
Then
right.
we'll be,
Bucket list. There you
yeah,
go.
yeah, bucket list.
Awesome.
So
Well, Patrick, thanks for coming on again and sharing your expertise and knowledge of what's happening in the latest situation in the world of film and television. And yeah, really
I'm
appreciate
not
it.
sure. I'm not sure I would call it expertise, but I'm happy to
Well,
come and
more
voice
expertise
my
than
crazy
most. So
opinions. So cool.
always happy to hear. So all right.
Thanks,
Thanks
man.
again.
Ditto. Okay, see you later, man.
All right.